There is a silent war going on. One not fought with swords, but with distraction. And in this war, your greatest weapon is your mind. But what if I told you there exists a banned brain hack, so powerful it can make you smarter than the so-called gifted geniuses? It's not a pill, it's not a machine, it's ancient, and yet it's feared in modern times. Why? Because once activated, you become limitless. Let me guide you through 4 powerful truths about this forbidden practice. They say the mind is like water. When agitated, it becomes difficult to see, but when allowed to settle, the answer becomes clear. And this is where the journey of true intelligence begins, not in chaos, not in constant motion, but in the depth of stillness. This is the place where the brain hack truly begins. The secret that has been kept from the masses, not because it is complicated, but because it is so simple, so powerful, and so easily dismissed. In a world addicted to noise, we are told to do more, learn more, speak more, chase more. Yet the ancient masters knew something that modern science is only beginning to confirm. That the real key to awakening, the highest form of intelligence, is not found in doing, but in being, in pausing and entering a space within where clarity is born. In a world where speed is worshipped and silence is feared, we forget that the most intelligent minds in history often withdrew from the noise. They embraced solitude not as a luxury but as a necessity. They understood that intelligence is not only about input but also about reflection. It is not about the constant consumption of data, but the integration of wisdom through stillness. When the mind is calm, it sees through illusions. When the mind is still, it hears through illusions. When the mind is still, it hears through illusions. And this is not a poetic idea. It is a neurological reality. The human brain, especially the prefrontal cortex, thrives when it is not overstimulated. This region, the seat of our higher thinking, emotional control, and strategic insight, activates more powerfully in moments of focused calm than in frantic multitasking. Stillness is not a lack of activity, it is a different kind of activity, an inner engagement. It is the place where your consciousness is no longer hijacked by the external world, and instead you begin to listen to the internal signals, the subtle whispers of intuition, the rising patterns of thought that connect ideas in unexpected ways. When you practice the art of stillness, the mind stops chasing and starts creating. It begins to rewire itself to operate from a state of presence rather than pressure. And this state allows your mental clarity to expand, your ability to solve problems, to improve your memory, and to access deeper understanding. All begin to flourish like a fire that burns brighter, not because it is fed more wood, but because the wind has calmed and allowed the flames to rise higher. Think of the genius who always seems to have answers, not because they are thinking more, but because they are thinking deeper. Their mind is not scattered across 10 distractions. It is anchored. And that anchoring begins in stillness. When you sit in stillness, you do not stop thoughts. You allow them to come and go without judgment. This alone removes the friction that clouds the mind. You begin to see clearly. You begin to think beyond the surface, and suddenly patterns emerge that were previously invisible. You stop reacting and start observing. And that shift alone multiplies your intelligence, because you are no longer running on primitive reflex. You are operating from conscious awareness. And this awareness is the core of every innovation, every breakthrough, every intuitive leap that the world celebrates in the so-called geniuses. The ancient Shaolin monks do not rush to solve a problem, they breathe. They settle their mind, and only then do they act, not from fear, but from centered intention. And when they do, the action is precise, it is wise, it is clean. In that way, their intelligence is not measured in how fast they move, but in how present they are in each movement. And you can cultivate that same intelligence, not by copying their rituals, but by understanding their rhythm. The rhythm of calm, the power of pause, the brilliance born from stillness. The world may call it doing nothing, but those who have tasted it know it is the foundation of doing everything better. Your attention sharpens, your memory improves, your stress dissolves, and your creativity emerges, not because you pushed harder, but because you finally allowed space for the brain to breathe. And in that breath, your highest self begins to awaken, the version of you that is not panicked, not rushed, not comparing, but completely grounded and fully alive. There is a reason this brain hack is not taught in schools or broadcast on screens. It does not make money, it cannot be patented, and it gives you back the control over your own mind in a world that profits from your distraction. Stillness is rebellion. It is the act of saying, I choose not to be manipulated by urgency. I choose to reclaim my mind. I choose to sharpen my intelligence through presence. And no gifted genius can compete with the power of a person who is fully aware, fully present, and fully still. So sit each day, even for a few minutes, and let the world fall away. Sit not to escape, but to return to yourself. And in that return, you will discover a mind that no longer needs noise to feel smart. A mind that no longer seeks validation to feel worthy. A mind that is no longer racing to be a genius, but has already arrived at wisdom through stillness, through breath, through calm. This is where the transformation begins, and begins with you. You do not need more input, you need more inner space, because in that space, your mind becomes limitless. They say the breath is the bridge between body and mind, and yet most people spend their entire lives breathing without ever being aware of it. But here lies one of the most powerful yet hidden brain hacks, known not just to monks and sages, but now confirmed by science. Your breath is the most direct, remote control to your mental state, to your intelligence, to your capacity to become something greater than what the world expects from you. When you understand and begin to consciously work with your breath, you unlock a doorway to clarity, to emotional balance, and to superintelligence, not in some magical sense, but in a deeply practical and measurable way. In every moment, your breath is giving you signals. Shallow, rapid breath indicates stress. Your mind is scattered, your thoughts race, and your body tenses. But when you breathe slowly, deeply, with full awareness, everything changes. Your nervous system shifts, your heart rate stabilizes, and most importantly, your brain begins to operate in its highest potential zone. This is not fantasy, this is neuroscience. The prefrontal cortex, the very seat of your logic, memory, decision-making, and awareness, comes online only when the body feels safe and grounded, and your breath is the master key to sending that signal. Gifted geniuses are often praised for their speed, for their memory, for their creativity. But what if I told you that all these traits can be awakened in you? Not through talent, not through birth, right? But through mastering your breath. Because unlike talent, your breath is trainable, controllable, and available to you every single moment of your life. And yet society ignores it, distracts from it, even fears it. Because it is too simple, too natural, too free to be profitable. So it is left untaught. But those who begin to understand it and practice it daily start to witness something extraordinary. They begin to think clearer, speak calmer, remember better, and feel more connected, not just to themselves, but to everything around them. The breath brings you into this present moment, and the present moment is the only place intelligence can grow. You cannot be insightful while lost in regret. You cannot be strategic while drowning in anxiety. Your power exists here and now, and your breath is what anchors you to it. Every slow, intentional inhale strengthens your nervous system. Every long, grounded exhale calms your emotional storm. In that balance, the brain enters its most potent state, where thoughts become organized, where focus sharpens, and where creativity flows like water from a mountain spring. You do not need to be born a genius to access this. You need only discipline and awareness. Even 5 minutes of conscious breathing every morning can rewire your brain towards growth, towards peace, towards insight. And this is not meditation in the traditional sense. This is activation of your highest potential through a physiological mechanism that no technology can match. The breath is the original intelligence enhancer. It is the first thing you did when you came into this world, and it will be the last thing you do before leaving. And yet, how many days have passed without you even noticing it? Those who train with monks, those who sit in silence for hours, are not doing so to impress the world. They are tuning their nervous system through the breath. They are expanding the space between thought and action, and in that space, intelligence begins to awaken. They do not rush. They do not panic. They simply breathe and allow wisdom to rise naturally, like the sun breaks through fog. And you can do the same. You do not need a cave or a robe or a title. You need only to sit, breathe, feel, and listen. When you breathe deeply, your brainwaves shift from chaos to coherence, from confusion to clarity. And the best part is that you can do it anywhere, anytime. When overwhelmed at work, when caught in anger, when afraid of failure, just breathe. Long, slow inhale, long, slow exhale. And within seconds, you begin to regain control of your mind. And this control becomes your new power. Your mind no longer reacts from fear. It responds from focus. And this focused mind can solve problems others cannot, can hear ideas others miss, and can see paths others overlook. There is a reason ancient wisdom called the breath life force, because it does not just sustain life, it awakens it. And when you master it, you master your mind, your emotions, and your energy. You begin to notice what others miss. You begin to understand what others rush past. And you begin to move through the world not as a follower, but as a conscious being, capable of seeing truth beyond illusion and creating results from stillness, not struggle. You do not need to understand every scientific term. You do not need to study every breathwork style. What you need is commitment to pause daily and breathe fully, to feel each inhale as life entering your body and each exhale as resistance leaving your system. In this rhythm, intelligence is no longer something you chase. It is something you become. This is the brain hack they do not teach, because it is too pure, too effective, too empowering to be controlled. But it is yours, and it always has been. The breath is your ancient code, your internal upgrade, your untapped power. And when you embrace it, you become more than smart, you become clear, calm, and unshakable. When the breath flows, the mind glows. And in that glow, you realize that genius is not a gift, it is a state of being, and that state is always one breath away. In a world of constant noise, the rarest and most powerful skill you can develop is not speaking louder, but focusing deeper. Because focus is not just attention, it is the sharpening of your entire mind. It is the blade that cuts through distraction, confusion, and overwhelm. It is the difference between those who touch the surface of everything and those who dive deep into mastery. And true intelligence begins to rise only when your energy is no longer scattered, but fully directed to a single point of presence. You see, most people do not suffer from a lack of intelligence. They suffer from an undisciplined mind. They start one thing and before it finishes, they chase another. Their thoughts jump from screen to screen, from task to task, their brain constantly shifting gears without ever completing a full cycle. And this habit weakens the mind. It trains the brain to seek novelty over depth. It builds shallow circuits instead of deep understanding. And the result is a life full of activity, but empty of clarity. But when you cultivate focused attention, your entire mental structure begins to transform. You stop reacting to every notification, every message, every noise, and instead you become the one who chooses what deserves your attention. And this choice is where your power begins to grow, because energy flows where attention goes. And if your attention is divided, your energy is weak. But if your attention is whole, your energy becomes unstoppable. This is not a theory. This is a law of the mind. Even 5 minutes of undisturbed, focused attention is more powerful than hours of distracted effort. When your mind is present with one task, it operates with full capacity. Neural connections strengthen, memory becomes sharper, and problem solving becomes more intuitive. This is the hidden trait of every great thinker, artist, athlete, and monk. They have trained their attention like a sword, and because they are fully present in what they do, their results seem almost magical. But it is not magic, it is mastery of focus. And you can train it too. It starts with one simple practice. Choose one task each day and give it your full attention, not partial, not half present, not while checking your phone, just one task. It can be walking, it can be writing, it can be drinking tea, but give it everything. Let your mind feel the depth of doing one thing with complete presence, and soon you will notice something subtle yet powerful. Your thoughts slow down, your awareness sharpens, your inner dialogue softens. Suddenly, the noise inside you is no longer running the show, because your awareness has taken the lead. This is what they never teach in schools. That your ability to focus is a superpower that can be trained, not a talent that you are born with. And the more you train it, the more powerful it becomes. Your ability to learn increases, your ability to listen deepens, your ability to create expands, and most importantly, your ability to stay centered in a chaotic world becomes unshakable. There are no secrets in the minds of geniuses. There is only the practice of being present, of staying with a thought long enough to see its roots and its branches. While others jump from idea to idea, the genius stays still with one insight and allows it to blossom. And this is possible for you. The only barrier is distraction, and the antidote is conscious focus. Do not underestimate the value of doing one thing with complete attention, because that single act is what begins to rewire your brain for higher intelligence. When you focus, your brain strengthens the connections needed to retain and process information. It reduces cognitive load and creates clarity. This is why monks can memorize entire texts and martial artists can react in milliseconds. They are not superhuman, they are super focused. And that focus came through discipline and daily practice. Even in conversation, you can practice this by listening fully, not thinking about what to say next, not judging, not wondering, just listening. And in that listening, you begin to understand beyond words. You hear tone, intention, silence, and all of this information is lost to the distracted mind, but available to the present one. And the more present you are, the more intelligent you become, not through effort, but through awareness. Focus is also freedom, because it frees you from the addiction of multitasking, which science has shown is one of the greatest killers of cognitive performance. Every time you switch tasks, your brain pays a cost, a tax on clarity, a tax on memory, a tax on energy, and over time, this tax drains your brilliance. But when you commit to one thing and stay with it, you pay no tax, you gain interest, your energy compounds, and your results multiply. The world is full of people who know a little about everything, but the ones who rise are those who go deep. They are not everywhere, they are not always seen, but when they act, the world feels it, because their work is infused with clarity, intention, and depth. And that is only possible through focused attention. You do not need to retreat from life to train this. Just start small, one thing, one breath, one moment of being fully present, and build from there. Like a muscle, Your focus grows with repetition and resistance. When you notice your mind wander, gently return it. This return is the training. This return is the growth. And over time, the wanderings become fewer. The presence becomes stronger, and your mind becomes a tool, not a trap. This is the brain hack most overlooked, because it demands discipline, and the world has made distraction easy. But you are not here for easy, you are here to awaken. And to awaken means to reclaim your attention from the forces that seek to steal it. When you own your focus, you own your future, because the world will always give you a reason to be distracted. But your power lies in choosing not to be. When your attention becomes whole, your mind becomes powerful. And when your mind becomes powerful, your life becomes extraordinary. In the stillness of your mind, in the rhythm of your breath, and in the sharpness of your focus, there lies something even deeper. A doorway to the intelligence that comes not from books or systems, but from direct experience. From embodying your knowledge, not just understanding with your head, but living it with your body. And this is where the final transformation begins, where you stop learning only through theory and start absorbing through presence, where knowledge becomes wisdom because you have felt it, touched it, moved with it, and allowed it to shape you from within. This is the most profound brain hack of all, not because it is complex, but because it is real, it is lived. It is the shift from knowing to being. And this is something that the modern world rarely teaches, because it cannot be downloaded or transferred through words. It must be experienced moment by moment, breath by breath, action by action. And the moment you begin to live what you know instead of just thinking about it, your entire nervous system rewires, your decisions align, your emotions stabilize, and your intelligence becomes grounded, not just high, but deep. True intelligence is not the ability to recite facts or win arguments. It is the ability to live in harmony with your mind, body, and surroundings. It is awareness in motion, wisdom in action, and peace in intensity. It means feeling your breath while speaking, holding your posture while thinking, engaging all your senses when learning, and moving through life with full presence. When you begin to live this way, your brain activates differently. Your entire neurology enters a flow state where learning is no longer a task, but a natural result of being fully awake. Imagine walking into a room and not just seeing but sensing the energy. Imagine reading a book and not just understanding the words but embodying the feeling behind them. Imagine listening to someone and not only hearing them but feeling what they cannot say. This level of intelligence does not come from analysis. It comes from presence, and presence can only be developed through practice, through repeatedly bringing your attention back into your body, back into this moment, back into life as it unfolds. This is what the monks and masters have trained for, not to escape the world, but to move through it with awareness, to bring their full being into each step, each action, each breath. And when you begin to train in this way, everything becomes your teacher. The sound of wind, the weight of your body, the movement of your hands, the silence between words, and suddenly you begin to learn faster, not because your brain is working harder, but because your whole self is involved. You are not just reading, you are absorbing. You are not just watching, you are becoming. This embodiment of intelligence means that you stop overthinking and start experiencing. You stop asking what if and start asking what is. You drop out of the loop of analysis paralysis and into the rhythm of clear, aligned action. And from that place, your decisions carry more power, your words carry more weight, and your mind carries more light. Because it is no longer burdened by scattered thoughts, it is supported by grounded presence. It is said that a single step taken in full awareness is worth more than 1,000 miles walked in confusion, because that one step shifts your entire vibration, your entire frequency, and this shift changes how you see, how you learn, and how you show up in the world. When you move with awareness, your brain no longer has to work overtime. Your body becomes a partner in intelligence. Your breath becomes your guide, and your energy becomes clear, calm, and creative. The beauty of this practice is that it needs no special tools, no technology, no outside permission. You can begin right now by feeling your feet on the ground, by noticing your breath as it moves in and out, by softening the space behind your eyes and allowing your attention to rest inside your body. This simple return brings you home, and from this home base, your intelligence expands naturally, like water filling a cup. It takes the shape of your attention and nourishes everything it touches. Do not chase intelligence as if it were something to be earned or proven. Instead, return to what you already are. A being designed to learn, to grow, to feel, and to understand through presence. Every moment of your life is offering a lesson, but you must be present enough to receive it. And when you begin to live this way, you do not just learn faster, you transform deeper, because knowledge becomes your own. It lives in your body and expresses itself through your actions, not just your words. This is the difference between reading about calm and being calm, between studying focus and moving with focus, between knowing the importance of stillness and living from that stillness. When your body aligns with your breath and your breath aligns with your attention, you enter a state where the mind no longer needs to struggle for clarity, because clarity is your default. Your inner and outer worlds begin to reflect one another. Your thoughts become simpler, your emotions become lighter, and your presence becomes magnetic. Others may wonder how you remain composed, how you speak with purpose, how you act with confidence. And the answer is not in what you say, it is in what you embody. Because you have trained your nervous system to operate from the truth of your being. And in that training, your intelligence is no longer fragile. It is resilient. It is not dependent on the environment. It influences the environment. It radiates from within. This is the power that awakens. When you stop separating thought from action, when you stop thinking one thing and doing another, when your inner world and outer actions walk in harmony. And from that harmony, intelligence grows, not like a light switch, but like a sunrise, quietly, steadily, inevitably, and in that rising you become the person who no longer chases wisdom because you live it. You no longer seek answers because you are aligned with the source of answers. When your knowledge becomes embodied, your life becomes your intelligence and your presence becomes your proof.